Hi, I'm Katie from Australian Paramedical College, and today I'm joined by Leigh and Sean from Sport and Event Medics. So today we're going to be chatting a little bit about their organisation, touching on our wonderful industry partnership and what this really means for APC students and graduates. So looking at clinical placement and possible employment opportunities to understanding what it's really like to work in the industry. So lots of exciting ground to cover today. So I suppose, firstly, thank you both for being here. It's great to have you at APC headquarters in Burleigh. And just to get us started, from my perspective, what I think would be an interesting place for students to understand is, like, what are your backgrounds, what are your roles in the organisations, and what's the journey that you've been on that's led you here today?
You can start.
Happy for me to start? I guess I'll start with my background. Originally from Victoria. I started off being a sports trainer, supplying first aid at sporting events as a sports trainer. Moved up to Queensland probably close to 20 years ago now. And 2011 I decided to do this as a job. So I created the first sort of machinations of sport and event medics as a sports trainer. From there it just started to develop where I was more of an individual, just going around and offering my services, to then realising there was a real niche that I could get into, and it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew, to the point where in 2020 the decision was made to turn Sport and Event Medics into a proprietary limited. That was February the 14th, Valentine's Day. March the 14th, my birthday, COVID hit. So then the business went into shutdown for 18 months, 2 years.
Wow.
Yes and no. Yeah.
So we did little bits and pieces. Then coming out of COVID, the business just exploded. So
That's amazing.
Leigh come on board. Leigh's role in the business is the Chief Operations Officer. My role is Managing Director and Coverage Manager. So sports trainer background, advanced first aid, now doing my diploma in emergency healthcare.
Fantastic. And we will get to that because I'm really keen to understand soon how you're both involved with APC on a personal level, which I think is super, super exciting. I guess just to get a little bit of background further on sport and event medics, why sport? You know, is there, like the name gives it away, sport and events, but, you know, is it a particular area of passion or just given, you know, your background previously?
For me, yeah, probably because of my background and my passion around sport, there was that natural progression as a sports trainer to go into the sporting arena. But saying that, now with event in the name of the company as well, we're actively now pushing into other areas, small community events, corporate events. Sport's always going to be what we do because we do it really, really well. But we're in a position now where we're comfortable to move into more, as I said, more of the event space as well. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what type of events do you guys help support?
Okay, so we do community events, and just of recent we have had corporate come to us for a couple of small events as well. So, and also it is sort of still connected with sport, but we do trail running events as well.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, they're our major event base. Yeah.
And a lot of our events is seasonal, so this isn't the time now we get busier in our event season because we're doing things like community fates, Christmas celebrations, carols. New Year's Eve events, because sport, funnily enough, now used to just be from maybe March to October. That's spreading out a lot more now. But yeah, the event stuff ends up being more the end of the year, and then we get every little bit and piece in the middle as well. And we do a lot of school stuff too. So.
Yeah, correct.
Nice.
A lot of school events,
Sounds like there's quite a mix
yes.
of events and things that you support, which I can imagine is awesome experience for our students because they get to see quite a range of, you know, people and I guess types of situations and environments, which I think would be just, awesome experience for them to be exposed to while they're learning.
They get good people skills.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is very important in this job.
Would you say that's probably one of the main skills that's quite important beyond, your qualifications. And
absolutely. If you can't communicate with people, then it's very, very difficult to settle them and support them when they're at a time of crisis. So communication is massive, yes.
Yeah. And is there anything, over the last 12 months that comes to mind when you're thinking about a particular event or scenario that was quite memorable, in terms of an exciting event or something a little bit different, or that's kind of stuck with you?
Look, I think what I really appreciate now is to the level of some of these coverages that we do. I said we're doing national, state-based. The one that I was memorable for me, we did the New Year's Eve Carnival at Varsity last year, and there was 7,000 people there, and I just said and I freaked. I said to Leigh, "There's too many people here," so she calmed me down. But yeah, so they're the interesting ones from where we were at. So we're doing 7,000 people at Varsity where there's a lake.
I live close to them.
Yes, so that they're great events, but we're at that stage now. There's we have our limits. We're not quite a paramedic company yet, but we're much more than a first aid company now. And to be honest, now we don't fall back on approaching events. If we think we can cover it, we'll have a crack at covering it. So, and there's been some other ones where we've thought, do we or don't we? And then we just put our heads together, and most of the time it's, let's have a crack. We've got a really good crew now. So
yeah, we do. Yeah.
How many people, if you don't mind me asking, do you typically have on your team?
We've got access in our group of around about 50 team members. Not all of them are active. We would probably have 20 to 25 active team members, what we call active, that are always working with us. But that changes too, because we have a wide mix from students to mums and dads. So there's there is a little bit of a change through what we do as well. So
yeah, we do have a lot of paramedic and physio students that come on board with us. So they're with us for maybe 2 years while they're doing their degree, and then move on when they get work in their particular profession. And we have had so much feedback on how supportive that is in moving towards their profession. They're working in the industry, they're connecting with people, they're learning lots about all different types of injuries and traumatic experiences, and they just adore what that then gives them as they move on in their life.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine that hands-on real experience is just absolutely preparing them for that next step as, becoming a paramedic. Because if I'm not mistaken, you studied a Bachelor of Paramedicine?
Correct,
Yes, and I'm really keen to, talk a little bit about that later, because at APC we also have quite a few students who start with the Diploma of Emergency Healthcare with the goal of becoming a paramedic. And, I think it provides that exact opportunity. And then, when we're partnered with organisations like yourselves, where they're able to kind of go out, get that experience, see if it's for them as well, before kind of stepping onto university.
Correct.
So it's cool to hear that firsthand from yourself as well, I guess on the other side of it. So
I think currently we probably have 5 to 6 diploma students that were through APC that are now going on and studying paramedicine.
Yeah.
So.
There you go. And I guess just to continue on sport and event medics just for a little bit longer, because I'm very interested, it sounds like you had a lot of expansion and growth in quite a short period from where you started.
So post-COVID, because all the sporting events closed down during COVID, and then they thought it was a really good idea, let's squeeze everything back in again when we get back, and it hasn't stopped.
No, correct.
It really hasn't stopped. So it's one of those things where we get sometimes the placement students come on board, and you can say, sport, not much is going to happen at sport. We're just going to be sitting there watching a game of sport, and then we get our first concussion, or we get our first spinal, or we get our first cardiac issue, and then they start saying, "This is so good, the amount of stuff we've done." So
and we get them if you will.
Yes. And their people skills get really good in sport. Their people skills get really good because they're dealing with a lot of cliche aggression.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of aggression from coaches, from parents, and even from the players themselves. So, you've got to be really solid in yourself to be able to stand in front of that and hold the space, not give it anything, but still do your job. So it's a very, very refined skill.
And we've seen now too, you know, there is so much more now happening in sport outside of just rolled ankles. We're dealing with everything now. And for stuff that we never thought we'd deal with in the past, we're dealing with lots.
As an example, you asked about reputable things. Just recently we did a gridiron coverage, and a player got hit in the air by another player, and he got hit sort of low quadrant up under his ribs, sort of that whole area. And he was quite unwell for quite some time, and I was monitoring him for quite some time because the force that hit him, my concern was internal bleeding, you know, and you would not expect that on a sporting field. No. But it's a very real possibility when you see how gridiron's played. So, yeah, luckily nothing went pear-shaped. But, yeah, just to give you an idea, like, of what we are seeing now is it's out there. It's high up on traumatic incidents, yeah.
And I guess that just speaks to the real need for what you do at these events. Absolutely. And the crucial role that you play. Yeah. Because it sounds like, there's a lot of, I guess, diverse events and different scenarios and things that could unfold unexpectedly. Correct. And it's just fortunate that you're there to help.
And we had to make some real changes to how we operate as a business as well. The fact is now that QAS is just so busy. So we've had to make some real changes around knowing that we could be waiting 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Yeah. So that's something we've been really proactive with as well, getting our team understanding that you may have to wait for long periods of time.
And manage, and then you're responsible for managing that patient for that time.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I guess I feel like I may have gotten a bit of a sense from this already from you, but before we move on to chatting about our industry partnership and I guess the clinical placement side of things for our students, but why did you get into this type of work? Like, what really drives you both, in helping people at these events?
My turn?
Absolutely.
I, for my whole life, wanted to do either nursing or paramedicine. But I grew up in a country town where it was the thing that the girl got married and had kids and looked after the house, and so that's what I did. And 2017, that all changed. I moved to the Northern Rivers of New South Wales, or 2016, and I signed up with APC on my drive down and had an interview on the Monday and got accepted into the college and worked full-time and studied the diploma. And once I'd done the diploma, then I needed placement. And unfortunately at that time, APC wasn't very supportive. They didn't have a lot of industry partnerships like you have now. So I had to find placement. And I did find placement with another sports medic company. And then one of those then put me on to Sean. So I started doing placement with Sean and then working with Sean. And I absolutely love, you're going to laugh at this, I absolutely love the job that I do. I adore being out there with people every day, and I absolutely hate sport. But I am at sport now 2 to 3 times a week.
I bet you know a lot about sport now though, right?
Don't ask me any rules. Don't ask me how basketball works or anything like that. And I do go and do a lot of basketball. Or how, any rules. Don't ask me how they work. I don't know. My only issue is that all the players are standing and well. If they're not standing and they're not well, then I'm there.
That's all that matters, I think, You're doing your job and that's all that matters.
And so that then drew me into following on after I'd done the diploma to looking to see if I could get into uni, and I did. So then did the bachelor's, and so now I bring another level of skill to what we do. Yeah,
that's incredible. That must be really, I guess, quite moving for you and for you both, I suppose, just how far you've come.
Oh, it's huge.
Like a life-changing decision has obviously been incredibly rewarding, and something that you're now passionate about mostly.
Yeah.
Sport aside.
Yeah, sport aside.
Which is fine. That's awesome. Yeah. And how about you, Sean?
Look, I think from my perspective, I realised a long, long time ago that having a sports trainer qualification was not enough. And there was a real need for companies to go to a next level around sport. Unfortunately, we're still seeing it where they just think someone with a first aid certificate is enough. So yeah, I made the decision. I wanted to start a company that progressed through and was able to offer much more than just being able to tape an ankle, because of the need for increase in injuries, things around concussion, spinals, all that sort of respiratory stuff.
Yeah.
And as Lucy would know, that I've tried to do the diploma 3 times. So I'm
You're not
back,
giving up is what I'm hearing.
so I'm back doing the diploma again. And the other reason too is, as I said, we're a little bit of a unique business. We're not a paramedic company, we're not a first aid company, but we've got a really good mix in that middle. And with the opportunity to have the APC placement students on board too, is we're giving them an opportunity to grow with us. I think now, last count, we've probably got 8 now working for us.
Currently.
Yeah. And we've only recently this week looking to put another 3 or 4 on that have just finished their placements.
Or diplomas, yeah.
Yeah, and their diplomas. We've got a couple doing their Cert 4 as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, from a business perspective, I knew being a sports trainer was never enough. We needed to go to another level, and that's why we went down that track. So, with a higher level of qualification. Fortunately, a lot of clients don't understand that. That's something we have to deal with in the industry, but that's what we deal with.
But it's about us to be vocal about that and to, show them what we do. And all of our clients love us. They love what we do. They love our punctuality, our integrity, how we are with people. They love our team. So that speaks for itself.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that's it. I guess the more you work with people and just kind of demonstrate your capabilities as a business and as a team, that's when you'll get the call up next time, and, your team can continue to grow and you guys can get more experience as a business and just, I guess, increase your offering as well.
Yeah, correct.
Which, yes, you provided a nice segue, I suppose, for what I wanted to chat about next. Our industry partnership, obviously, has sort of led to why we're here today. So I think it's quite unique, to be honest, that you both have first-hand experience studying at APC. I think that's quite rare and quite incredible because you really understand from both sides what it's like to be a student and then working in the industry as qualified professionals. I guess I would love to understand how you think APC has better equipped you for taking on our students, knowing what it is like studying here and kind of what they actually are learning here and bringing that into the real world.
It's great from my perspective that I've done the diploma before, now being someone who supports placement students through, and because I know what the diploma holds, though I am finding that what I did and what the emergency health care, there's a bit of a difference in what's offered, but I'm learning that as I go along with the students. I'll be asking them something, we haven't learnt that. Like, okay. So there is a little bit of difference between the two. But what's really, really supportive is that I have a very solid background in what you guys offer, and so and how it's offered, and what's expected. So it's very simple to mentor the APC students to go through their books, even if we have to do scenario stuff, because a lot of the stuff we're just not going to be able to do. We're not going to be able to put a trolley into an ambulance or something like that. So we go through scenario stuff, and it's just because of the background with APC, I did these workshops here. I know what's done in the workshops, so I know how to talk to the students and to draw out what they've got inside to be able to support them with their workbooks and with their placements, and with, like Sean says, growing to be great medics.
And would you say that's sort of a key benefit for APC students, having the opportunity to do clinical placement with you?
I would, because there's a lot of our people that do take on the placement students have done the diploma. Yeah, I don't think, is there anyone that hasn't done the diploma?
I think we would have had done
Jasmine.
Yeah. But what I get out of it too is I understand how difficult it is to get placement, and this is always the big thing. And you can just the amazing number of Facebook pages and all that sort of stuff. Well, who did you do placement? I can't get this, I can't get that. And you can just feel the angst.
In the students,
I've done all this study and placement is difficult. So that's why we're really proactive in bringing placement students on board as well, to the point where Leigh started to slow down. We needed to back off a little bit because currently we have 5 supervisors.
I was going to say, we're limited with supervisors, so that's the only thing that limits us to taking on more students, because it's unfair to take on students and they need to get either their 40 hours or their 120 hours up, and it might, sometimes it can happen in quite a quick time frame, but other times it might be a little bit drawn out. However, a lot of that will depend on the student
That's
and how dedicated they are to what they're doing and getting their hours done.
And very, very early on too, I plant the seed and say, okay, you realise when you guys have finished this and you come on board with us, you're going to be able to take on placement students. Yeah, you can, and that's what we're aiming for you to do. Becoming mentors as well. Yeah. I'll give you an example of one of our diploma students come on board. She's now studying paramedicine, and when I asked her that question, she goes, "Oh no, I can't take on students. I'm not good at it." The students love her. Yeah. She is amazing at it, and she's just grown into it. So that's something I get out of it too.
Yeah, correct.
Being able to, and that's one of the other reasons why I've got to get this diploma done this time. And because I need to be doing the placement.
I just do want to share too, we have a lot of students come to us, and I don't know if it's a thing with the industry, but they come with, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough. And I lived with that. I held that a lot, and I've realised you can't know everything in this industry. It's just absolutely, totally impossible. But you know your basics, and you get really damn good at them, and if you can do your basics, you can do just about anything. And we have supported a lot of students to let go of that not good enough sense. One in particular that came to us, you remember Jazz? She was totally gone, and yet bright as a button and very, very hands-on, very, very capable, but her own mental thoughts were not letting her expand. And I sat down with her one day and we had a great discussion, and from that day forward, it's like she just flipped. She just straight away expanded out into what was already there, and she is now studying paramedicine as well.
In Tasmania?
In Tasmania,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Got a scholarship?
Got a scholarship, yeah.
As a single mum with
4 kids.
4 kids.
Yeah. So to see that happen, and I've seen it time and time and time again with students that work with us, that's why we do it. Like if they can come to us and then leave us full and capable, that's all I ask.
And we definitely just don't let them sit in the corner.
No,
There's none of this,
become
I'm
very
just here for
hands-on.
my hours. Once I get my hours done, we don't do all no.
No, they're hands-on.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like you've talked a lot about various things that I'd like to unpack a bit more, but I guess on just what you were saying, because that's something that here at APC we do find people wondering, am I smart enough, or having these hesitations around just, pulling the trigger and just going for it. I guess for people in that position who may be watching this video today, do you have advice for them? Like, I know you sort of touched on it a little bit, but for someone who's yet to even sign up for their diploma, like, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, feel the fear, but it's not real. It's not real. If you've got even the slightest thought that you're capable of doing this work, you are. And you just have to find a way to channel your energy more towards achieving what you know you can do, rather than giving anything to something that tells you can't.
And there's amazing support now with the APC platforms. As I said, Leigh did it when it was all paper.
Yeah.
I sit there now and I can just click on a link and watch a video. And the Facebook pages now are amazing. And that support amongst all the students throughout Australia is amazing. So there is such a great network now. Yeah. If you have any doubts, there is so much help. You've just got to put your hand up. And the one thing we've been really proactive too is, because we have a couple of paramedics on board or studying second, third, we actually created a Facebook group that is for mentoring as well, where anyone can ask any question. And we've got a pretty good crew that'll always help.
Respond,
because they've been through it all.
Yeah, or they're doing it at the moment. Yeah, correct.
That's awesome. And that's it. I think strength in numbers sometimes. And just putting your hand up and asking a question goes a really long way than feeling like you're facing something on your own or you don't have that support. I imagine that's what gets a lot of people through. And especially in an industry like this, as some of the circumstances you were describing earlier, it's not light stuff. It sounds like it can be pretty intense. Yeah. And so to have that camaraderie and community around you to help support, I'm sure is just the best thing ever.
And you've just touched on something very dear to my heart there. You've touched on something very dear to my heart there. You actually cannot do this alone. When I started to study the bachelor's, I thought I could do it all by myself, and I failed a couple of assignments. And then I sought support outside of the uni, because the uni I wasn't finding very supportive. But I sought for support outside, and as soon as I did that, I never failed another. In fact, I always got distinctions or high distinctions for my assignments from that point on. You just can't do it yourself. You're not meant to. You're not actually meant to do this yourself. You know, like that's why you have a place where you can come to like this. That's why the Facebook pages are there. That's why you do the learning like you do. You know, it's there to be a part of a team, not as a single person.
Yeah. And that's one thing at APC we're really passionate about, is just promoting that community piece, especially amongst students. And yeah, I know the team have done a lot to bring that together and make people feel, you know, because there's the awesome online study element, which, you know, enables flexibility and being able to work full time, and people with children, like it accommodates various lifestyles. However, on the flip side, you're not necessarily in person every day other than, you know, clinical workshops or your clinical placement or what have you. So, yeah, that's wonderful feedback to hear that, you know, the support is still there and around you and present and really genuinely helpful as well. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think with what we do too, we're not a huge company, so people don't get lost. Whereas we're able to keep constantly in contact with people and bring them in and support them that way, where they're just, and this is one thing I say quite a lot when we've got placement students with us on coverages, they're not a number. They're part of a team.
Yeah,
they're not just sitting in the corner getting coffees and doing lunch runs and all that. They're part of the team. They're filling out PCRs, they're signing PCRs, they're doing blood pressures and all that sort of stuff. They're doing mills and they're doing it. They're actually
and we might
hands-on.
spend the first couple of times they're on placement where they come and watch and follow, and then it's like, okay, next one's yours. And they all just about poo their pants, but off they go. But of course they've got the supervisor behind them. And that's what I say to them. I said, you've got this. If you want support, you ask me. And off we go.
You guys can have a big list of students following this chart, waiting to sign up. So there's a couple more things that I wanted to just touch on that you talked about earlier. Firstly, just in terms of the industry partnership, from what I understand, it sounds like a real natural progression. You obviously were both students here and you've gone through the end-to-end process yourself and just had that real appreciation for whether it's difficult to get clinical placement or having a supportive team be there for you and just give you that positive experience as a student, as people try and figure out if it's the right career path for them even. So I guess, would you say the partnership really was just an organic outcome of, you know, your connection with APC along the way? Yeah,
look, I think so too, and the amazing part of this too, APC gave us an opportunity from where we are as a business. And I keep going back to this, we're not a paramedic company. If you wanted to pigeonhole us, we're an advanced first aid company. And if you look at the industry, you know, you possibly think, oh well, hang on, how are they going to fit? They're not, you know, they're not going to do all the scary stuff and all that sort of thing. But APC were able to see, hang on guys, you know, they're in an industry there that we may be missing out a little bit on. And there's different opportunity there. Like, we hear it a lot with our placement students, that they never get taught to do things around soft tissue. They don't get taught how to manage ankles and all that sort of stuff. And they grow from learning that with what they do with us. So for us, it's just, it's a perfect fit. It is perfect fit,
and it's very supportive for us too, because we get to know who's out there studying the diploma. We get to know what they want to do, where they want to move to, and the offer is there for work for them. Like, because the way our business is, we do have a high turnover of medics, because they stay with us for 12 or 18 months, they move on to the next point in life. So we are constantly looking for more support in that way, and APC is excellent for us because we see the students, we work with the students, we know their personalities, we know their strengths and their weaknesses, and we support them to bring their weaknesses up so they become strengths. And then when we can offer them work, we know what we're offering the work to, or who we're offering the work to, and that is amazing for us. We love that. Yeah.
And is that sort of a benefit for sport and event medics then? I suppose looking at the partnership for us, I think it's a no-brainer how wonderful it is for students to have the chance to work with you. But I guess on the flip side for sport and event medics, I guess thinking about employment opportunities for
absolutely.
students, would you find it, it's quite beneficial for yourselves?
And the great thing is, the good thing is too, it's such a wide dynamic. We've got our 18, 19-year-olds that really don't know what they want to do. And then we've got our mums and dads that have kids now are at school and they're thinking, I wouldn't mind doing just some part-time stuff a couple of times a week. Or we've got the ones that are studying the diploma, now they're doing their paramedics and they're moving to the next stage. So it's a massive difference we have, and we love that.
Across our medics, absolutely.
So we're able to say, look, we're happy to take you all on. We'll have all of you. We'll take you all. But what it does, it makes me realise too, we can be so much bigger if we grow. Yeah. And this is helping us.
And the one thing that holds us back from taking on more work is being able to supply. Because one thing we are very, very, very strong about, if we say yes to a job, we absolutely know that we can cover it. Yeah, but we have had a couple of things come at us that have required way more personnel than we can accommodate. So we've had to, and we honestly say no to those things simply because we just do not have the support to do so.
And I guess to be fair though, that just speaks to your quality and integrity as a business of, doing what you're capable of, which I think is fantastic, because we then also know that our students are in very capable hands and that they're never going to be put in a situation, especially while they're learning, that they potentially feel compromised or, you're at a stretch or anything like that. Like, it's a really safe environment and just a positive learning experience for them.
We're very, very proactive with communication. Yeah. And we quite often say too, it doesn't always have to be what happens here. Anything you need to talk to us about, you can talk to us about. We're very proactive in that.
Yeah, very open with that.
Because sometimes it's daunting. And look, we've been lucky. We haven't had a lot of things that have been really full on where we need to think, okay, we'll probably need to get everyone in a room and have a chat about this. But it's going to happen. We're going to see it. I said we're getting closer and closer every time now. We're at an event where there's 7,000 people. Potentially something's going to go pear-shaped.
So I guess just building on what you were chatting about before, saying, you do have quite a mix of people that work with you as medics. At APC, we have a diverse range of students, which is amazing. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's been nearly 50 APC students complete clinical placement with you. I guess for
that
people...
That blows me away.
It's incredible.
It is.
Yeah, it's a huge testament to you. And I guess just thinking about that, what would you say to someone that has minimal experience or no experience and they're coming to an event for the first time? What would you sort of say to them if they're feeling a little bit hesitant?
I'm from my perspective, where I'm at with my experience and accreditations and everything, is the one thing we are 110% is support. As I said, you're not going to be just thrown in a corner. You're going to be doing stuff, but if there's anything you're not sure about, we really try and make them realise, put your hand up. If you're not sure, okay, if we ask you to do, I'm not comfortable doing that. There's none of this jumping up and down. Well, hang on, you're here to do placement, you're doing it. Okay, let's see if we can find you something else to do. Because the last thing we want to do is scare someone off, because potentially they're going to be working with us. So if they're seeing that we're pushy and not supportive, they're not going to want to work for us.
But that's not us anyway, because that's just not how we work. Yeah. And so, when they come on first time, they communicate with us that they want to do a placement. So we generally communicate with them about where it is, the time, and just simple things. Just remind them to bring their placement book with them, make sure they're wearing the appropriate clothing, and we'll see you there. Like, we keep it simple. And then from there we move into whatever the coverage is.
Yeah, and we work through issues. If if you've missed a couple of placements and haven't told us, we're very proactive in finding, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
Not jumping up and down and say, that's it, you're cut, you're done.
No, so we're what's happened, and a lot of the time it'd be, I had to work late, or I forgot to let you know, or but it also brings the student back in, and also gives them the responsibility that, you know, it is like a job when they're doing placement, and so they have a responsibility to let us know, because, you know, we don't know if they've had a car accident on the way or whatever. So just from our perspective, and to settle us a little bit, even if they let us know the hour before, I can't be there, fine. We don't have a problem, because we never put on a placement student as an extra person for the job, ever. So if they're not there, it doesn't matter, you know, but if they are there, then we get the benefit of having them, and they get the benefit of whatever the coverage expands into.
Yeah. So I guess just chatting a little bit more about that employment side of things, I suppose, as part of our, you know, partnership that we've talked about, and students getting some incredible experience while they're still studying with yourselves. Are there employment opportunities with sport and event medics? It sounds like there are, you know, once they're graduated, and how does that kind of work from your end in terms of onboarding, or do you look for certain skills or personality types or anything in particular, or
I'll let the operations manager talk to you about this.
Essentially, if they're willing and we've been able to observe that they're capable, then we're more than happy to have them on board, and then we mentor them as we go through. We've just begun as a company getting our medics together on a regular basis over Skype, because unfortunately we live Zoom, over Zoom. We live diversely, like between Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and just about every day of the week we've got work on, so you can't get all medics together at once. But we've started to do Zoom sessions on a regular basis simply for that, just to go over things that we need to go over as a company from admin perspective and also from clinical perspective, and to give them an opportunity to go, well, okay, I had this the other day, this is how I managed it, is there anything I could learn from it? So that's part of what we do, you know, so that all of our team members are constantly offered to be fully in the team. And obviously not all can attend, but they can all attend the recording if they so desire. So yeah, so that's how it is. And if they're willing, they're capable, you know, like if someone comes to us and they haven't showed us any want to do the work, but they want to have a job, well then that's not going to happen. But if they've turned up on placement, they're engaged, they're wanting to learn, that's all it needs to be, they're just wanting to learn and they're wanting to engage, then there are likelihood of getting work.
I think the biggest thing we come up against though too is the realisation is that we can't offer full-time employment.
Correct.
Because what we do is seasonal. There's sometimes we could be doing 60 coverages in a week. So it's very much a casual role. And then there'll be some weeks where there might be 10 coverages. But it changes all the time. So we offer them, I guess it's permanent casual, I guess if you want to put it that way. Different options, either coming on board as contractors. We've started putting some now of the younger ones on casual wages to give them that option as well. I have a work platform where everyone can see the work well in advance and they pop their names down for it that way. Look, as we grow, you know, there's probably going to be opportunities for more full-time people. But where the business is at the moment, that's where we're at. Saying that too, we made a decision 18 months ago about paying super to all our team members. They're all on our work cover. So because of where we're at, there's a bit of a grey area around that, and we just decided, no, we're not going to have the grey area. This is what we're doing.
So, good on you. And I guess just to chat a little bit more about that, again, for someone who may not know, I guess in a nutshell, you talked about coverage. I guess just to confirm, do you operate in sort of South-East Queensland, and like what types of jobs do you employ?
Hang on, what's the tip of Queensland to the middle of New South Wales?
So a bit further than that?
Yeah.
Predominantly our work is Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, Gold Coast.
Ipswich.
Yeah, a little bit out
SEQ.
that way. Yeah. So that's predominantly where most of our work is. We have done carnivals, basketball carnivals as far up as Cairns and as far down as Sydney. But predominantly it is in this area. Yeah.
And are there particular roles that you do hire for? You know, say you've got your APC students doing clinical placement. Do you sort of see them typically step into certain types of roles?
all of our roles are essentially the one role.
Okay.
We might have levels of qualification there may be some coverages that someone without higher qualifications can't do, but across the board, all of our medics just about can just do every coverage we've got.
Yeah, and we're a lot more proactive now too in professional development stuff as well. With our Cert 4 diploma, whatever, we're actually encouraging them now to do things like a sports trainer course as well. But then we run workshops on sports taping and all that sort of things. And to be honest, that side of sport now is less and less now. We want people there that we know if someone's holding their chest as they walk. We have this funny saying at an event, if we're both working together, if someone's limping towards me, that's my job. If someone's holding their chest, that's Leigh's job.
Good to know that distinction. I want to be around you guys if something ever goes wrong.
But we want everyone to be able to cover everything.
Yeah.
And under even Cert 4 level diploma, absolutely, we've got most bases covered there.
Yeah, and we do a diverse range of sport. You know, like if you want me to start to tick a few off, we do gridiron, we do basketball, we do volleyball, we do AFL, we do rugby, we do gymnastics, we do soccer, we do cricket, we do trail runs.
I'm sure there's something we've missed.
We do lots of school sport, we do netball, can't forget netball. So that's just very quickly.
And we do community events.
And we do community events as well.
And they're all your favourite.
Yeah. The community events, yeah.
So I guess I've gotten such a wonderful sense of, the work that you do and the awesome experience that you offer our students today. I guess just to close off today, do you have any advice for someone who's on the fence about getting into the industry or, not sure if it's for them? Is there anything that you would sort of say, I guess, to just help them?
Leigh's the best example of this. Of where you're at and why you got into the industry. Yeah,
it's just if you feel it, I've said it before, if you feel it and you feel that it's something you would like to do, explore it. At least explore it. Look into APC, see what they got to offer, see if it can work with you around your job or your family or whatever it is, and go for it. Don't hold back. And you do have to commit. If you want to do it, you've got to put in commitment and you've got to put in the time and you've got to do the stuff. If you're not willing to do that, well, then there's something else that's going to be better for you.
And I get a sense too that this industry is going to change massively in the next 2 years.
And there'll be a lot more of this work available, yeah.
And just one final question. Would you say that APC, is a great place for people to start who are looking to enter the healthcare industry and get involved in the work that you do?
From my perspective, absolutely.
And from my perspective, doing the diploma and moving into the bachelor's, without the diploma I wouldn't have got into the bachelor's course that I got into. Being a mature age student, I think it's different for younger kids, but as a mature age student you've only got certain pathways into uni. This is one great pathway.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you both. And thank you so much to our listeners today for catching up with APC and Sport and Event Medics. It's been wonderful to have you here. We hope you learned a lot and come join us soon.